I start from original photos that I've taken, in my hometown, traveling all over the world, and I turn them into intricate, detailed paper cuts. So they're quite literally big pieces of paper with lots and lots of holes in them. You can think of a doily or a paper snowflake, but all of my cuts are made, by hand using an X-Acto knife. I'm Rosa Leff. I live in Baltimore, and I'm a paper cutter. My work has really shifted a lot. When I first started paper cutting, I was doing a lot with graphic novel illustrations and borrowing from other artists. But I'm, at this point, I think probably best known for my urban landscapes, and those are really special to me because I started doing them when I moved away from Philadelphia. I started to feel really, really homesick, so I started going through old pictures that I had of Philadelphia and cutting them. I was kind of feeling drawn to, a lot of crumbling bricks and kind of the, gum on the sidewalk and the grittier things, the power lines. My focus really became those small things that could be any city for the most part. So all of my work start from a picture. So a lot of times I'll just go out with my camera and I'm kind of zigzagging through people's back alleys and taking pictures of these power lines in the backs of their houses. And when I'm going out taking pictures, I'm trying to be as unobtrusive as possible. For me, people in my compositions are mostly incidental. I don't do a lot of photo editing, largely because I'm not great at it, but also because my style of paper cutting is really dependent on my eye. I can't put a filter on these photos and get exactly what I need to be able to cut and capture all of that depth. So I print out my images pretty much as they are, and I draw a border around them so that my framer doesn't kill me. And then I, tape them onto a piece of art paper. I really love Canson Mietients, a 98-pound paper. So it's like lighter than a cardstock, but heavier than a printer paper. And then I just take my Excel blades and I use this weird little Fiskars craft knife that wraps around your finger. It's kind of like a ring pop, so it's a nice natural position for me to be dragging my knife around. And I just start cutting away, mostly at the light areas, but again, doing a lot of reversing of the positive and negative in order to make sure that I'm really able to keep all of the sections I want. The best part is this big reveal moment where I lift off that printed photo that I've been using as my stencil layer. And that's the first time that I really get to see what's underneath. So I know as I start to get towards the end of a paper cut, I work a lot faster because I really want to get to that moment and be able to see what I've done and if it was worth all the time that I put into it. I think because I really started working from images that weren't original, it was for me like this more of a head game of figuring out the technique and wanting to understand it. Now that my work is more automatic, now that I'm not thinking as much while I cut about, how am I going to incorporate this letter? How am I going to capture this shadow? I think I get to spend a lot more time looking at the meaning in a paper cut. Even when I first started working from my original photos, I would look at a photo and I might have it laid out on the table for a week before I actually took my knife to it because I was walking back and forth past it every day, multiple times a day, trying to figure out how I was going to make it work. I'm really waiting for the story to reveal itself before I bother to put in the work because I find that when I don't do that, I end up with something that's just ultimately not very interesting. I don't think that creativity needs to be wall art or performance art or anything like that. I think creativity is just a way of seeing the world. It's having strange, really strong responses to things that other people don't understand or don't see, or things that they wouldn't see until you bring it to their attention. So when I paper cut, I'm not really interested in doing a lot of the traditional folk art motifs. So what I really love to do, is these urban landscapes, but because that's how I grew up and where I came from and the thing that matters to me. So I, put my own voice into my paper cuts by documenting my lifestyle.